Hey, how's it going? I am going to read you some cards. I got two today from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. There, that's better. Less glare. And I pulled the number 37, Magician's Sword, Confidence in Your Magic. Confidence, eh? I recommend it. I'll give you a look at it. So, I don't know about you, but I typically don't run around with a sword. So, I'm going to say this is symbolic, this blazing sword. It almost looks like something Archangel Michael would be waving around. But apparently, it's our own sword. Appearances may differ personally. That's my disclaimer. Oh, speaking of disclaimers, please observe my signs. Okay, don't do that. So yeah, this I would think would symbolize our confidence, our inner strength, but especially our self-worth. But since it's like the Magician's card, it's like maybe you gotta conjure up, work up a little something more than normal to set your sword on fire and perform whatever illusions. Well, that is interesting. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a trick. That's what I'm trying to avoid saying. I think it more has to do with taking charge of energies in your life. You know, like understanding that we're more powerful than we tend to believe we are. And it's sort of like my belief that rather than people insist that things are not real until they don't believe it until they see it, I have come to believe that, right, yeah, okay, sure. I've come to the conclusion that you gotta believe it can be first before you can believe it. I mean, it sounds like, I'm sure, a chicken and egg situation, but I don't know that I've ever been one of those. I won't believe it until I see it, because I'm willing to believe some pretty fantastic stuff, I guess. So, but yeah, I think, well, it's pretty obvious that it points to self-worth and power, but taking control of your destiny, okay. But yeah, I mean, taking control of the course of your life. We do have, like, our life blueprints, but, you know, it's not all written in stone. We do have free will. I'm sure the two, for that purpose, won't work well together. Don't know if they were created to work together, but ramble. I'm gonna move on to the next card I pulled from there. Oh, and that was the number 37 card. So for all of you people interested in the numbers, obviously you know that 3 and 7 are 10. 0 is, I don't know, a placeholder, so 1. And then this card, the second card I pulled, is the number 56 card. And if you add those numbers together, it's 11. So 2 more 1s. And the 3 ones together signify a new beginning. So anyway, the card name itself is The Wall, and the subtitle is Obstacles. So I love that it's very blue and sort of purple-y-ish, lavender, whatever. I like those tones. And as usual, the card looks completely different from the last time, but oddly, it's like you're looking in through someone's window or something, or like the French doors are just whipped open And it talks about wall, right, in the title. Where is my indicator? And if you look here, you can see, like, planks. They look like bad teeth, actually, just all scrunched together the way those get. And then you can see, like, it's in the foreground. It's like they have, like, a kind of a janky fence, considering, what it looks like today is there was, like, a dinner party happening in here. There's the draperies pulled wide, and they're so dark and velvety looking. Like, they look like they just suck up all of the light, which appeals to me because I live in dimness, kind of like it. Excuse me. And, but it looks like a very nice dinner party was set. It, like, some sort of tureen or something there, and like a soup, a teacup, I don't know, but the table looks like it's shaped differently, although it still does look like there's an armchair here with a doily on it, which, you know, wouldn't be out of character for, like, the head of the table in a home or something. Maybe a Victorian home, I don't know, I'm just guessing. I mean, when was the last time you saw a doily? Come on. And so it just seems pretty, like, simple. Like, the obstacle, here's the good life, right? Here's the obstacle, or here's the good life. It's right there on display, literally, just beyond this funky little fence. And it's, you know, I can't take it seriously, the fence, but there must be more to it, because you don't just climb over one fence in life to get to the good life. And also, why does the good life have such a messed up fence? There might be something more happening here that I'm not getting. Let me take a look at this. I know that here's something I never noticed before. Just past the fence, it looks like there's two round back chairs, like fabric chairs, like the one that I said had a doily, which would be either on the back or the armrest. Looks to be on the armrest. Oh, I'm wrong side of the card. This is the chair with the armrest doilies, you see. I think. Yeah. So I'm just kind of confused by the finery, and, like, why'd you, like, spend, like, nothing on the fence? Is it you just using the neighbor's fence? Is the neighbor Fred Sanford? What is up with that? Can you see it? I don't know. Let me just talk more, because I'm not sure I understand the obstacle situation, but apparently it's some kind of magical passage, because you need to know some illusions and some tricks. Although, you know, maybe that's what's going on here. Like, the fence is an illusion. Maybe it's more formidable than it appears. And I don't know what kind of people would be that deceptive. Here, let's make it real easy to get in, and then, you know, we lightsaber you. I don't know. I don't have, like, valuable stuff, so I don't know what it's like to have that type of ownership mindset. But anyway, I also pulled from the Wild Unknown Animals Spirit deck, which is an oracle deck. I don't think I mentioned that. Whoa, calm down. Anyway, I pulled Frog, and it has the water element icon, and then also water and a frog. So it's like kind of beating you over the head with the whole thing. But it wasn't obvious when I looked at this, so I knew I had to, like, go looking for some stuff. And I looked up Frog and Rain separately, Because first I tried to ask what was the significance of the two together, and the search engine misunderstood me and thought I was talking about a rain of frogs, like the biblical story of the plagues, I guess. But frogs actually have come up in my life on this side of the screen recently. And it is a funny echo of an experience that I had in about, I believe it was 1998 in December, so about to turn into 1999. I had a job and I had a nice apartment, and then while I was working, part of my job was to drive places, and here where I live, there are these big ditches, some places on the side of the road in the more rural areas, which is the area that I live in and worked in. And I had a relapse and a spasm, a seizure, while I was driving, and I was turning into the driveway of the business I was going to, and I don't know what happened. Like, I guess I blanked out for a minute or something, but I ended up veering to the left, and these ditches are big, so it was like I believe a Chevy Love was the truck I was driving, so small, and I turned right out of the driveway and drove into the ditch because they're wide and shallow. So I really, nothing happened except that I was in the wrong place. And then I ended up with the body sort of sitting on the edge of it, and I couldn't get proper traction. It didn't have front wheel drive, so it wasn't grabbing when I was trying to go, and so I had to get out, climb halfway up the ditch. It was just a mess. And it was also a Friday afternoon after 5 p.m. and it was on a highway street that this business that I was going to was on, and it was just it took probably 40 minutes before the traffic opened up to let me make the turn from one lane across the next and into the ditch instead of the driveway. But there was a person at this place that he was right about to leave, actually, and when he saw me drive into the ditch, he had a winch on the front of his truck, which was bigger, and he just kind of pulled out of the business a little bit and hooked onto the truck I was in and retrieved it for me. But that was the end of that job. No more working because physical malfunctions. And why did I talk about all of that? I don't know. It doesn't really have to do with what I have to say about this. Maybe it will. I'll go on. So when I lived at that place that happened to be, when I worked at that place, I lived at a place that was literally around the corner and up the road about 2 blocks. And then I had to turn off of that road. It was like the business was on the highway, and then you make a turn, and then I had to make another turn off of that road to a side street. And then my address was in a driveway there. So my apartment building and a business was on one side, and then on the other side was a pond. Just a pond, like a pond. I'm from LA, okay? So that kind of thing is not usual. I've been here a lot of years, a couple of decades now, more than 20. And I'm still all, woo, a pond. But anyway, this was in, 1998, I believe. But I turned onto the road to go home. This is not the same day I drove into the ditch. But I was driving that truck, and I turned onto the road, and it was just covered with little white frogs, like albino frogs. And I was just like, what the F is going on? There were so many of them, and I don't know why they were in the road. Did they not come out of the pond? I don't think they came out. They seemed to come out of the back area of my building. I won't call it my backyard, but it butted up real close to the business, and there was a fence. So the backyard of this place was about 4 feet from the building was the fence. It wasn't really, there was no hanging out back there. And then the business was an auto shop, and they just had like, when they weren't there, there was a couple of big, I think, Rottweilers back there that they lived there. I don't know, you don't really need all that detail, but you got it. So anyway, well, what I'm getting at is the frogs wouldn't have come from like my little tiny back area strip or the greasy, the place just smelled of like auto grease and tires, and it wasn't like strong or bad, but like you could smell it. Like, it wasn't like a breeding ground is what I'm trying to say. The pond, though, across the street was. So that was my thinking as I pull onto my street. I'm like, holy shit, I can't not run over frogs. And then I realized, well, geez, there's so many of them. They must have accounted for cars in their froggy way. But that was 1998, right? Recently, I have a woman that comes and helps me, and she lives in a pretty, well, I mean, there's a lot of trees and forest and stuff still around. It hasn't been civilized, so-called. And she said that she came out of her driveway and the frog thing happened. Or not her driveway, but her driveway is kind of far from the road, so it adjoins to a road on her property, and then it goes to the street. So anyway, she pulled out onto the street, and it was Frog City. And the frog incidents obviously are spaced apart, but here's a frog, and I just thought of all of that stuff, and it just made me think of so many things, like water's representative of emotions, and you know, immediately when I start thinking of animals and weather, I start thinking of climate change, because it's difficult for them, like crab fishing here in the Pacific Northwest, kind of not happening. They keep trying to go out and do it, and they don't come back with enough to even, I don't think, pay their crew. So that's kind of dwindling down to nothing. And, you know, it affects stuff like bananas, which are so fragile anyway. And the ones that we typically get in the store, not even the best ones there are, but I guess to produce the ones that are like really tasty and good, they like don't travel well, and they don't grow like in proximity enough to certainly supply the United States the way they do with this. I guess this is the description I saw, the bland yellow ones. So I mean, the only thing stronger than a yellow banana I've ever had is a plantain, and that tastes more like some kind of potato in a banana. What am I talking about? Oh, yeah. But they are vulnerable to disease, the bananas. And also frogs, I think. Like, if the water's bad, obviously, if it's full of, like, nasty chemicals or something, it's going to go right into their pores. And, boy, that makes me sad. You know, destruction of the environment. It makes me sad. If it's natural, you know, if it's caused by, like, a storm, or it's, like, Mother Nature or something, can't really get mad at it, you know? It's like, that's a naturally occurring event. And frog loss is accounted for. So I guess there are contingencies. I had a number of things on my mind as I was doing this, and I pulled these cards yesterday, so I'm glad to see that they still got some message on them. I also pulled some tarot cards. I didn't put any particular question or anything. I just said, okay, I'm going to pull some of these for today, and that's what I did. But first card I got was Justice. A lot of Trump stuff again in the news, but also just January 6th stuff. with other involved parties, people that had a lot to say about it in the lead up to it, and there's photographic evidence and weird meetings at the White House, and people were just traipsing in and out like there was no security or something. And there's just a lot of stuff going on with that. So, the next card I pulled was, Ace of Swords. And it's a lot of, speaking of the former president, sort of recrimination, like going back and bringing up crap that already is old, like not stolen elections and things that he can say that if it's going to happen to him, it'll happen to you. Man, everybody's not president and didn't break those laws. That's the part everyone leaves out. Like, no one's doing it just because they don't like him. That's not how we do law. If that were the case, we would have no government. Hello? No, the man broke laws. But, you know, he's not at all taking responsibility. He has said he will not take responsibility for something else, but I feel like it's his general policy. But he'll just be out there bitching and moaning pretty much. And this one did that to me, and this one is so nasty and never has anything good to say unless it's he said something nice about me. He likes me. I like them. Like, woo, low bar though. The man is not like a font of happiness and joy, in my opinion. I realize no one asked, but this is my channel. I get to say stuff that I want to say. Dang it. So, bro got a lot of baggage, and I just feel like if he can skedaddle, he will try to. He may succeed even. But this card is, I think, represents like getting to this point and offloading some of your baggage, which, if we're talking about that guy, I'm thinking he's hiding whatever's in the bag somewhere. That's just a feeling I get. But yeah, he doesn't process his emotions well, I don't think. And also, like, the not taking responsibility, I think, just short circuits that whole process. Like, if you're not, like, taking responsibility for your whole 80 plus years, wow, man, that's a lot of buildup on your emotional arteries. But I think probably he's got a lot to hide, and I think this would be, like, illustrative of him, like, this looks like a good spot to stash something. Nobody comes around here. I'll just bury it. And then I got this is like same guys, but obsessive personality, addictive personality. Apparently, allegedly, it's a rumor that the guy has substance, what do you call it? Well, I mean, I guess addiction, but that's not the word I'm looking for. He relies on it. What is the word? Well, he gets to have it, I guess. I mean, that's what happens when your body gets used to ingesting a certain substance. Particularly, it doesn't even really matter. I mean, we can get addicted to gambling and you don't ingest that. That's just the way we are. Like, we tend to get addicted to stuff. We almost had the word. But I keep coming up with the opposite of the word that I want. I keep wanting to say resistance. Dependence. I guess I needed to say resistance to get the... That's how my little brain works. Just put a little painting in. It's real simple. Dependence. And I think that it's... Well, I know that, speaking for myself with addiction, the way I got there was trying to blot out. Whoa, okay, calm down. Trying to blot stuff out. Trying to not think about things, which is for taking on a form of irresponsibility. But, you know, I grew out of that, like, yeah, pretty much. It, like, just aged out of the whole even wanting to go through any of that crap. Like, I've known addicted people since my early teens. Like, some that are not even around anymore. A lot. And I always got out before that could happen to me. Before I was stealing stuff and going to jail and becoming a hooker. Like, no. Like, whatever it is, I'm fine. I'll go eat a cookie instead if I have to be addicted to stuff. So, shut up. I've had some cookies. So, I think if and when it ever happens, he can be honest to his core. I think this is what you'll find there. The major drama queen of cups, like, woe is me! That's already him outwardly, but I'm talking inside, where I don't even know. Well, I don't know the inside of the guy's mind. He's a stranger to me personally, but gee, I've had a long time to look at him, and I've kind of seen a lot of people do stuff, and he's doing a lot of the same stuff, and he seems to be ending up in the same not desirable place because of the stuff that he was doing. But I think there is a place inside, like a little teeny tiny little nugget somewhere hidden under a flap that knows, like, stuff's about to come down, and knows that it's all on him. Like, everything was a decision he decided to make. It was a choice he, like, made. So, this being true of all of us, you know, like, you dig your own hole, man. But, you know, it's everybody else's fault, which is silly. But that's also an addictive thing. Like, one of the first things I noticed that heroin addicts lose, which was not one of the things I was, my substance was the complete polar other end, that was the speed. But the first things I noticed, the junkies, what would happen to them, sorry about the characterization, they would lose their give a damn, like, caring about, especially anybody else and other things. If they were not directly gonna benefit them, they didn't have, like, respect for it. They didn't care about it. They would abuse it, no problem, and then go right back, you know, ballsy as hell. Like, yes, I fully just ripped you off, but do you have $100? Like, the nerve, right? I'd say our fella has all of that going on. And sorry, well, no, I am just gonna enjoy this because it's so true. In the end, who's getting him around every corner? Women coming out with the truth and slicing him to bits with it. What was it, 183 million bits that E. Gene Kelly has carved away from his rotisserie carcass? He's golden brown. He's golden orange. Sorry. That is gross. But, yeah, Letitia James, Fannie Willis. And then the women that used to work for him, like, every weekday on The View, what's her name? Alyssa Farah. All the women are getting him. Oh my God. And who was it that was talking? I think it was Colbert, who was doing a poem where he was talking about, well, never mind. I don't need to turn the knife. It's ironic and perfect. All these women are pretty much taking him down, and it's not over. It's going to be going on for a while, so I don't like that whole grab your popcorn thing, but it is hard not to feel just a little bit of satisfaction here about this because of the way that he has talked about E. Jean Carroll, for instance, or just women in general, or his daughter. The man is just not a man, actually. I mean, his body is, but the rest of it, like the thinking parts, I don't know. More like a 14-year-old or younger. It happens, you know? Like, well, I just think all the time about, like, mafioso, right? Like, I don't know if people remember Sammy the Bull Gravano. He actually turned stool pigeon. But, it's an interesting story about that guy, but I remember in particular a prosecutor saying, you know, he's not the brightest bulb in the, I'm paraphrasing, he's not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, but he has enough sense to, like, haul his ass out of the fire, basically. So, like, snitching on his old life, which, I don't know. Sammy the Bull Gravano. It's an interesting story, I think. So you don't have to be, like, super smart to get ahead in this world, to succeed by the metric that we measure success by anyway, collectively. It's not my metric. I don't agree with any of that, but nobody asked me. Well, so the other thing about this, I'm going to finally wrap up here, but the other thing about this, about the rain and the frog, they had similar sort of meanings, I guess you could call it. The frog was fertility, redemption, forgiveness, cleansing. Still some of them. There were some negative ones too, but I'm not feeling that. And then for the rain, it was rebirth, a rain after a drought, like relief rather, pause for introspection. Like, I know that it's like instant, what is it, is it AMSR? I never get the order of those letters right, but you know, it's lull you almost immediately into, like, not talking and just sort of zoning out, which is awesome. We kind of all need to do that, and in a way, that's like like rinsing out your brain, you know, for a restart, like a Rick Steves underwear in Europe wash. But I still totally get, like, that whole emotional element, like fertility, like the build up to having a child or trying to have a child. It's a big emotional deal for couples, you know, and rain, you know, rinsing away, like I said, not just your mind through the sound, although that's a good thing. I know I have stood in the rain, like, after a stressful work day, and just, for some reason, that is so refreshing. Or, like, going to the ocean. As soon as I get my bare feet on that sand, it feels like my whole physiology changes. And then when you get to the water, I haven't been to the beach in a long time. Oh, I'm getting chills. I want to go so bad. But I want to go in Southern California or someplace warm. I don't want to go here where I am. Even in the summer, not so warm. Still redemptive, though. Like, nothing to me feels better. Like, even a shower in your bathroom feels awesome. So, I don't think I really can, like, stitch that together into much, but I feel like it had a general direction. Anyway, enjoy. Thank you and good night.